Welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, author of several Tudor history books, including On This Day in Tudor History. Now, I'm taking you back again to King Henry VIII's reign. It was a very eventful reign. But on this day in Tudor history, the 25th of October, 1532, during Henry VIII's visit to Calais and Boulogne, King Francis I of France gave a great honour to the Dukes of Norfolk and Suffolk. He made Thomas Howard, 3rd Duke of Norfolk, and Charles Brandon, Duke of Suffolk, Knights of the Order of Saint-Michel, which was the French equivalent of the Order of the Garter, so a great honour for those two men. Chronicler Edward Hall wrote, "While the King of England lay thus at Boulogne, the French king, to show himself loving to the noblemen of England, the 25th day of October, called a chapter of the companions of his order called Saint-Michel, of whom the King of England was one, and so there elected Thomas, Duke of Norfolk, and Charles, Duke of Suffolk, to be companions of the said order, which were brought into the chapter and had their collars delivered to them, and were sworn to the statutes of the order, their obeisance to their sovereign lord always reserved, which dukes thanked the French king and gave to the officers of arms 200 crowns apiece." Now, Henry VIII reciprocated on the 28th of October, because you have got to, if the French king does something nice, then the English king has to do something nice too. So he reciprocated by holding a chapter of the Order of the Garter and making Anne, Duke de Montmorency, and a man who was the Grand Master of France, and also Philippe de Chabot, Admiral of France, Knights of the Garter. So he kind of felt the need to do that too. This chapter meeting took place, the Order of the Saint-Michel chapter meeting took place before Henry VIII and Francis I left Boulogne, where Henry VIII had been Francis's guest at the French court for a few days, to travel on to Calais, where they would meet with Henry's sweetheart, Anne Boleyn, Marquess of Pembroke. Now, Wynkyn de Worde wrote of their journey in his pamphlet, The Manner of the Triumph at Calais and Boulogne. "And on Friday following, the kings came to Calais, and the Dauphin, with the cardinals and all their gentlemen, brought the kings unto the place where they first met, and then departed. The French king had great carriage, for there came 300 mules laden with stuff. And when they came to Calais, they were saluted with great melody, what with guns and all other instruments, and the order of the town. It was a heavenly sight for the time. First at Newnham Bridge, 400 shot at the blockhouse, 40 shot at Ricebank Tower, 300 shot within the town of Calais, 2,000 shot great and small beside the ships. It was all numbered 3,000 shot. And at Boulogne, by estimation, it passed not 200 shot, but they were great pieces. Also for the order of the town, there were set all serving men on the one side in tawny coats, and soldiers on the other side, all in coats of red and blue, with halberds in their hands. And so the kings came riding in the midst, and so the French king went to Staple Hall, which is a princely house. And upon Saturday both the kings rode to Our Lady Church to Mass." And chronicler Edward Hall agrees with this account, adding that Francis I's train comprised 1,200 people and so many horse more. He also adds that when they were 2 miles outside of Calais, they were met by Henry Fitzroy, Duke of Richmond, who was, of course, Henry VIII's illegitimate son, and a great company of noblemen. The English and French parties then carried on with their journey, being met at Newnham Bridge by Thomas Palmer, captain of the fortress, and soldiers who all saluted the two kings. As they entered Calais, they were met with shot from the town, castle, Ricebank, and ships, the Frenchmen commenting that they never heard such a shot. They were then greeted by the sight of the soldiers of Calais standing on one side of the road, dressed, as I said, in red and blue, and on the other side of the road, the serving men of England dressed in coats of French tawny, with a scarlet cap and a white feather. They must have looked magnificent. As was said by the chroniclers, Henry VIII then escorted Francis I to his lodgings at Staple Hall, where his chambers were hanged with so rich verdure as have not been seen. The ground of it was gold and damask, and all over tufts and flowers were of satin, silk and silver, so curiously wrought that they seemed to grow. Every chamber was richer and other. The second chamber all of tissue, with a cloth of estate of needlework set with great roses of large pearl. The third was hanged with velvet, upon velvet pearled green and crimson, and embroidered over with branches of flowers of gold bullion, and garnished with arms and beasts of the same gold, set with pearl and stone. Wow. There was no sign, however, at this point on the two kings' arrival back at Calais. There was no sight of Henry VIII's sweetheart, the woman who had accompanied him on his journey, sort of acting as queen consort, even though they weren't married at this point. Of course, that woman being Anne Boleyn. But on his arrival in Calais, King Francis I sent the Provost of Paris to Anne with a gift. Now, this sounds like an amazing gift. A diamond worth 15,000 or 16,000 crowns, it is described. But Anne still didn't appear. She was biding her time. She was going to make a dramatic entrance on the 27th of October 1532 at the special banquet held by Henry VIII in Francis I's honour. So perhaps I'll tell you all about her dramatic entrance, so you'll have to wait and see what happens on that day in Tudor history. Thank you for joining me. You can subscribe to this channel by clicking round about there. You can also hit the bell to be notified as these videos go live, and please do consider giving this video a like if you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for following me. I'll be back tomorrow with another Tudor history tidbit for you. See you then. Bye bye.